Very good. Okay. Good afternoon. I'm Mark Takano, and I have the honor of serving as ranking member of the House Committee on Veterans Affairs. I want to thank all our guests for being here today to discuss the VA's proposed rule to reinstate a near total ban on abortion care. As you'll hear from those speaking today, this extreme rule will be detrimental to veterans' health. We must stop it from being finalized. Time is running out to make your voices heard. The public comment period on this rule closes at 11:59 tonight. Yesterday, Ranking Member Blumenthal and I submitted a comment signed by over 230 of our colleagues demonstrating House and Senate Democrats' staunch opposition to the proposed rule. Just 3 weeks ago, almost to the day, we celebrated VA's interim final rule that for the first time provided veterans access to abortion care in instances of rape, incest, and threat to life or health. It also lifted VA's long-standing gag rule, allowing VA providers to discuss abortion with patients who were experiencing unwanted or high-risk pregnancies and pregnancy complications. In the wake of the Supreme Court's Dobbs decision, the 2022 rule ensured that veterans would still have access to abortion care even if they lived in a state that has banned abortion. Now, the very things that we affirmed 3 years ago, veterans' reproductive freedom, access to comprehensive health care, and a system that trusted veterans to make their own health care decisions, are under attack. This is not progress. It is not freedom. And it is not what veterans deserve. I want to be very clear about the consequences of VA's cruel and short-sighted proposed rule if it is finalized. Veterans will have fewer rights than they do right now. Veterans who walk into a VA medical center expecting to receive the care that they will need will not be able to get it, nor will they even be able to discuss abortion as an option with their providers. VA providers who have the trust of their patients and who want desperately to do the right thing will find themselves in the impossible position of navigating laws that don't allow them to provide the appropriate standard of care. VA claims in its proposed rule that the, quote, threat to life, end quote, exception is enough to protect veterans, but we know that that is not true. If VA's extreme abortion ban goes into effect, pregnant veterans will die waiting for the care they need. We have already seen this happen in states with extreme abortion bans nationwide. People are turned away and refuse the care they need because the law does not allow providers to act until the patient is at death's door. And as those of you here know far too well, when you force someone to wait for care until they are at death's door, you risk that care being too late. We cannot and must not allow VA to force veterans and VA providers into the terrible position of being forced to decide if a veteran is close enough to death to have an abortion. Worse, VA's ignorant decision to remove the threat to health exception in this proposed rule fails to consider veterans' unique health needs and their freedom to make personal health care decisions that are right for them. Veterans have already sacrificed their mental and physical health to serve our country and have a much higher rate of complex health conditions such as post-traumatic stress disorder, severe hypertension, and renal disease, conditions that can increase the risks associated with a pregnancy. Treatments for these conditions can often cause birth defects. Without access to abortion care, women may be forced to cease their own health care treatments to sustain a pregnancy. We have made a solemn promise to honor veterans' service and ensure they receive the health care they have earned. Veterans with service-connected conditions should not be put in the position of being forced to set aside their own health care needs. And yet, this extreme abortion ban would leave veterans without access to care and without options when their very health is at stake. The people gathered here today understand that the health of women veterans matters. Prioritizing their health means that every veteran in every circumstance gets the care, information, and support they need. This proposed rule would allow the government to interfere with health care decisions that should be between a veteran and their provider. Veterans fought for our rights. Now it is our responsibility to fight for theirs. We must stand together to stop VA from finalizing this rule. I'm pleased to be joined by many of my colleagues and leaders from organizations who have worked in this space for decades. They are here today to stand against this proposed rule. Thank you for all you do for joining us today. And with that, I want to recognize my friend, Senator Richard Blumenthal, ranking member of the Senate Committee on Veterans Affairs. Senator.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Representative Takano. I have been in this fight since Roe was approved by the United States Supreme Court. Before I became a father, before I became a grandfather. And now, this fight is very personal to me and to all of us, having two sons who are veterans. One, a Marine Corps combat infantry officer in Afghanistan. The other is a Navy SEAL who believes strongly, as I do, as you do, that women's rights are human rights. Women's reproductive health care is health care in this country. There's no getting around that basic fact of life unless you are Collins and Trump. And you want to roll back the clock and revert. And that's the word they use. We're going to revert to a prior rule. Well, there was a time in this country when no women served in the military. That's where this administration wants to go. There was a time in this country when no women received VA health care. That's where this administration wants to go. There was a time in this country that no veteran received health care. They want to go back, and this is another step in reverting, rolling back, reversing progress. We are not going to let them do it. We're going to fight it first with the comment that we submitted. More than 230 of our colleagues joined us, 42 from the Senate. And then, if they are cruel and stupid enough to adopt this rule, we'll fight it on the floor of the United States Senate with a congressional resolution that says you can't trample on reproductive care in the United States for our women veterans. A Congressional Review Act is privileged. It has to be voted on. Memo to Majority Leader Thune, we're going to get a vote. And we're going to win that vote, I think, because all of our Democrats, and I hope all of our Republicans, will be in favor of it. There should be no partisanship when it comes to women's health care rights for veterans. Now, this idea that someone has to be on the verge of death to receive life-saving care is absolute cruelty, and it is so stupid as to defy any logic. Any medical person, any person will tell you that waiting until death is literally imminent means risking life. That's what we're doing through this rule. It literally endangers and risks life for hundreds of thousands of veterans. How many veterans? To be exact, 462,000 veterans, women veterans across the United States, 2,600 of them in Connecticut. Their lives are put in danger. Their futures are on the chopping block. Their choices are denied. And let's be very clear-eyed and blunt. Sexual assault in the military is still rampant. Victims of sexual assault in the military become pregnant. and then they are discharged, and then they are veterans who will bear the child of their assailant if they are denied this kind of care. That is absolutely repugnant to any sense of fairness or justice. And here's something else to consider. Women in prison who are covered by the Hyde Amendment actually have more rights than women veterans. Yes, because this proposed rule says that even if you are a victim of rape, you're going to be denied reproductive care and abortion rights. And if you're in those states that make abortion illegal, which is about half of all the women veterans, 232,000, you can't get an abortion anywhere that's close to you. So a woman in prison has more rights because she can get reproductive care if she's raped than a woman veteran who is denied it under this proposed rule. That is absolutely unacceptable to anyone in this great country. So I am determined to fight this proposed rule. It has not received the attention it deserves. What it really deserves is to be abandoned, as I hope it will be, because we're going to fight it even before it's a final rule. The comment period ends today. From this day forward, make no mistake, we will fight it in the Congress, we'll fight it in the courts, we'll fight it anywhere that's necessary to preserve a woman's right over her own body and protect a woman from the effort of this administration to make them victims of their culture wars. The VA used to be above politics. The VA used to be a place where people would go and receive health care based on their needs. They've served and sacrificed for their country. They have fought for this right. The VA is breaking its promise. It's betraying a trust. And we can't allow it to happen. I thank all of the veterans who are here today, all of the advocates. You are a formidable picture. And I want to thank all my colleagues from the House for being here and say how grateful I am as a veteran, but as a dad and a grandfather, that we are fighting hard for women's reproductive rights. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Senator Blumenthal. Thank you. I now want to hand the podium over to my longtime colleague, a classmate, and someone who sits on the Veterans Affairs Committee as the ranking member of the Health Subcommittee. Please welcome Congresswoman Julia Brownley.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ranking Member Takano. And I thank all of you for your continued fight for our nation's veterans and their families. As Ranking Member of the House Veteran Affairs Subcommittee on Health and a proud member of the Reproductive Freedom Caucus, I am here today because, like so many veterans and veteran advocates, I am appalled and disgusted by the Trump administration's cruel and reckless effort to roll back abortion protections for our women veterans. As women continue to comprise the fastest growing cohort and the most diverse group in our military and veteran community, it is more important than ever to ensure that their rights and access to comprehensive care are protected and that these rights are codified and protected by the law. Any attempt to gut VA's reproductive health services is not just wrong, it is a direct and dangerous attack on our women veterans. It's an attack that puts their health, their freedom, and in some cases, their very lives at risk. Like all women, women veterans deserve access to essential reproductive health care when and where they need it. To deny them this care is simply unacceptable. The Trump administration's decision to rescind VA's already limited abortion protections is an enormous step backwards, not only in safeguarding reproductive freedom, but in our broader commitment to our women veterans. The proposed rule would reinstate VA's near total abortion ban, even in cases of rape, incest, or threat to the veteran's health. It would strip away for veterans across the country, force them to go without essential health services, and even denying to the 700,000 family members who rely on the VA. We know the consequences. Women are denied care. Doctors are afraid to act. Patients are left to suffer, and lives are put in jeopardy. After the disastrous Dobbs ruling, we've seen women denied life-saving care, left to suffer in hospital parking lots, and told, come back only once they were close to death. Under this new rule, there is no clear guarantee that women veterans facing miscarriages, ectopic pregnancies, or other health-threatening complications will get the care they need. Make no mistake, Donald Trump and his extremist allies are using women veterans, our women veterans, to advance an anti-choice, anti-woman agenda and inch us closer to a national abortion ban. This is not only egregious and wrong, it is profoundly dangerous. The irony is also so incredibly infuriating. They claim issues of reproductive health should be left to the states. Yet here they are abusing federal power to impose their personal beliefs on veterans nationwide, even in states where abortion is legal. This is a direct attack on women veterans' freedom and bodily autonomy. Veterans should be able to make personal decisions about their health without any interference from politicians. Their access to care should not shift with every administration. That is why I introduced the Reproductive Freedom for Veterans Act, a bill that will protect abortion access at VA once and for all, ensuring veterans are not subjected to the political whims of whoever happens to occupy the White House. Veterans fought to defend our freedoms. They should not have to fight again for their own health care and their own freedom. That is why Congress must act, and act now, because the lives of women veterans depend on it. And to the women veterans here today and speaking out, thank you. Thank you not just for your service in uniform, but for your continued service as advocates. Your voice is more powerful than ever, and I promise you, I will continue to fight by your side until reproductive freedom for veterans is not just a policy, but it is the law of the land. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Congresswoman Brownley. I now would like to bring up the CEO of Iraq, Afghanistan Veterans of America, Kai Hunter.
Thank you so much, Ranking Member Takano, Senator Blumenthal, Ranking Member Brownley, and all other members that are standing here, and most importantly, my fellow advocates and veterans that are here behind me. I'm Kai Hunter, CEO of Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America, and I'm proud to stand here on behalf of post 9/11 veterans today. As you've heard from many of the members who have spoken already, women are the fastest growing group of veterans right now. And thankfully, women are still joining the military in record numbers, bringing their diversity and their strength to our fighting force, which means that very soon they are going to be veterans too. And this issue matters to our generation of veterans, not just to women veterans, but to all veterans. Right. Immediately after the Dobbs decision came down, we surveyed our membership, and nearly 70% of our members, not 70% of our women members, 70% of our members, regardless of gender, regardless of race, regardless of political party, regardless of religious ideology, said the VA must step in and ensure access to all reproductive health care for veterans and their families. Let that sink in. This has been made a partisan fight. This has been made a culture war, but our generation of veterans knows it should not be. Senator Blumenthal spoke about it with his sons, who know that women's rights are human rights. For all of us who served downrange in Iraq and Afghanistan, we were told that was one of the things we were fighting for. We were told we were fighting for more rights for women. And we were also told when we returned home, we'd be afforded at least as many rights as those that we fought for others. And that promise is right now being broken. And it matters that it's being broken because a promise is being broken to those who wore the uniform, but it is also putting a group that is uniquely at risk at even higher risk. Every single one of us who raised our hands to go downrange knew that we might die. We all took that risk. We all took the risk that we might die when we're here on training exercises at home. But you know what risk we didn't take? That we might die when having the audacity to want to have a family. That we might die because we were raped by a fellow service member. That we might die because we still have not invested in the research that toxic exposure has on reproductive health care and what it does to women's bodies. This rule puts women who have already volunteered to be at risk at a greater risk for no reason whatsoever. For no reason other than a culture war, political ideology that our members know is not right. That our members have the ability to see through. That our members fundamentally reject. And so as this public comment period is coming to an end, if you don't want to put a public comment in for yourself, put one in for the post 9/11 generation who overwhelmingly have said that the VA must step in and protect the rights and comprehensive health care for all who served. Thank you so much.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you, Kai Hunter, CEO of Iraq Afghanistan Veterans of America. Now with us, the CEO of NWLC, Fatima Goss Graves. Fatima?
Thank you, Congressman Takano and Senator Blumenthal, to Representative Brownley, to all of the many members who are here today, and to the many veterans who are here behind us and watching today. Just know we are fighting for you and alongside you. My name is Fatima Goss Graves. I'm president and CEO at the National Women's Law Center. For over 50 years, we've fought for gender justice in the courts, in public policy, in our society. We work across issues that are central to the lives of women and girls, and we are here today because the administration has made the reckless and shameful decision to roll back access to abortion care and counseling for veterans and for their loved ones. And at a time when extremist lawmakers around the country are pushing cruel abortion bans and restrictions, this administration is deepening the crisis that is unfolding. By stripping veterans of their reproductive freedom, they will create more confusion where veterans were able previously to turn for care. As you have heard, veterans already face unique challenges. Many live with PTSD and anxiety and other mental health issues, often related to their service. higher risk of suicide. They are also, as you have heard, at higher risk of sexual assault and sexual violence and intimate partner violence. Denying access to the full range of reproductive health care services, including abortion care, threatens their health and safety, full stop. No one who has served their country should have to travel hundreds of miles, endure financial hardship, risk their own health from being turned away from the medical care that they deserve. Our veterans deserve better. Survivors of sexual assault who will be abandoned by this system, they deserve better. It is cruel, it is wrong. We know exactly what happens when abortion care is banned. We don't need any more experiments in this country. We've seen that cruelty, and now this administration is telling veterans that they too must suffer that same cruelty. Well, we will not stand idly by while that happens, while the health of those who have served our nation is under threat. So thank you again to all of the members who are here today, all of the veterans who are here today. The National Women's Law Center is so proud to stand alongside you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Fatima Goss-Graves of the National Women's Law Center. Now from Common Defense, the political director, Naveed Shah.
Good afternoon. Senator Blumenthal, Senator Takano, or Representative Takano, esteemed guests and colleagues, thank you all for being here today. I stand before you to address a deeply concerning proposal from the Trump administration, a rule that would ban nearly all abortions at the Department of Veterans Affairs facilities, even in cases of rape and incest, and prohibit VA providers from offering abortion counseling to our nation's veterans. This policy, if enacted, would strip critical health care access from millions of veterans and their families, particularly women who have served our country with courage and made sacrifices to do so. Over the past month, Common Defense's membership has mobilized in response. More than 200 of our veteran leaders have joined our webinars and organized against these public comments, to make public comments against this policy. And about 5,600 of our members have signed a petition voicing their opposition to this policy that the administration wants to enact. So let's be clear about what's at stake. 1 in 3 female veterans report experiencing sexual assault from their service. 1 in 3 face intimate partner violence, rates far higher than among civilian women. For these survivors, access to comprehensive reproductive care is not just a medical necessity, it's a matter of dignity and autonomy. Denying them this care is a betrayal of the promise that we make to those who defend our freedoms. This rule doesn't just take away the care, it forces veterans to leave the VA system that they rely on in their most vulnerable moments. It tells survivors of military sexual trauma that their government will abandon them when they need them the most. That is unacceptable. President Biden's 2022 policy allowed the VA to provide abortions in limited circumstances. It wasn't a blanket. It was very targeted. This ban takes away that choice entirely from 400,000 women veterans living in states where abortions have been already banned or severely restricted. President Biden's modest but vital policy offered a lifeline to veterans in states where reproductive care has been gutted post-Roe. The Trump administration's proposal to reverse this, claiming it's legally questionable or a matter of patient safety, ignores the reality that veterans rely on the VA as their primary and sometimes only health care provider. So let's be clear, this rule is not about safety, it's about control. It dismisses the expertise of doctors and healthcare providers and the lived experiences of veterans like Ash Wallace, who after surviving a life-threatening pregnancy complication was denied the reproductive care that she needed by the VA and forced to pay out of pocket to protect her own health. Stories like hers remind us that this policy will disproportionately harm the most vulnerable, those in states with abortion bans, those without the means to seek care elsewhere, and those already bearing the scars of trauma. We cannot ignore the broader context. The VA is already grappling with severe staffing shortages, including about 2,000 nurses, 800 doctors, and hundreds of other critical healthcare workers who have already been laid off or left under this administration. These cuts exacerbate the crisis, leaving veterans with fewer options and longer waits for care. Now, adding a blanket abortion ban risks turning VA hospitals into places where veterans' needs are sidelined in favor of ideological agendas. Today, I call on the Trump administration to withdraw this cruel and dangerous proposal and urge Congress to support legislation like that proposed by Representative Brownley to codify veterans' rights to reproductive care and counseling through the VA. And I call on every American to stand with our veterans, men, women, trans, non-binary, who deserve health care that respects their services and their choices. There is still time to act. The deadline to submit public comments is midnight tonight. Every veteran, every family member, every American can make their voice heard. If you care about veterans' well-being, you should make your voice heard, because public comments matter. They create a record, they force accountability, and they stop harmful policies before they can take effect. Let's ensure the VA remains a place where veterans receive the care they've earned, not a testing ground for restrictive policies that could spread nationwide. Women veterans are the fastest growing part of our community, but the responsibility to speak out cannot fall on them alone. Every veteran has a responsibility to defend access to needed care. Standing silent while our sisters in arms lose their rights is not an option. We serve together, we stand together. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Naveed Shah of Common Defense. I now would like to bring to the podium from the Vet Voice Foundation, the Senior Policy Advisor, Kayla Williams. Kayla.
Thank you so much for that kind introduction and for the opportunity to speak today representing the Vet Voice Foundation. It's an incredible honor to join stalwart defenders of veterans, including Representative Takano, Senator Blumenthal, and Dr. Hunter. The founders of this nation declared that our most inherent and unalienable rights are the preservation of life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness. This proposed rule would strip women who use VA of those rights. I am a combat veteran who served in Iraq. Thanks to the PACT Act, if I get cancer from burn pit exposure, VA would consider that service-connected and take care of me. But if this rule goes into effect and I got pregnant in that scenario, my VA doctor would be forbidden from even counseling me on whether an abortion would be the best option for the preservation of my life. I also served as director of VA Center for Women Veterans and later VA's representative on the DoD Independent Review Commission on Sexual Assault in the Military, where I heard from hundreds of women who experienced military sexual trauma. It is appalling that a military woman could be raped, leave active duty, find out she is pregnant, walk into VA and be denied the abortion she could have gotten in the military. Where is the liberty for women denied bodily autonomy? Every veteran-serving nonprofit should vigorously object to the plan to eliminate care for women veterans in this situation. I am also a mother. It is disgusting and heartbreaking that under this rule, if my teenage daughter is raped and gets pregnant, Champ VA would not provide her with abortion care. This fundamentally erases her right to the pursuit of happiness. And while Secretary Collins and his boss may not care what happens to teenage girls who have been raped, we do. We are here today. We are here today speaking out against a draconian proposed rule that would put VA out of sync with DoD and every other federal provider of health care. We believe that women veterans are self-evidently people who deserve these unalienable rights demanded by our founders. VA provides high-quality, evidence-based, culturally competent healthcare that is comprehensive and integrated. As the number of women using VA has grown, that care has expanded to include excellent women's healthcare with high rates of breast and cervical cancer screenings, terrific breastfeeding support, and trauma-informed care for MST survivors. Comprehensive women's healthcare, by definition, must include abortion care. And the VA Advisory Committee on Women Veterans recommended nearly a decade ago that VA remove the exclusion on abortion in cases of rape, incest, and threat to the woman's life. Secretary McDonough made the right decision to finally implement that change in the aftermath of Dobbs. Secretary Collins is wrong to try to strip medically necessary health care from women and girls. Everyone watching should go and make a public comment today explaining why veterans who need abortions should be able to receive them within the VA system, optimizing continuity of care and access to needed services. Changing this rule will harm our health, risk our lives, and damage our relationship with VA. Please also contact your elected officials and urge them to oppose this rule and support Representative Brownley's legislation that would enshrine our right to this care into law. Thank you.
Wow, thank you, Kayla. You made some points that really I hadn't thought about, and so important that you were here today. Now I want to bring up an amazing member of Congress from the state of Oregon, a medical doctor herself, Dr. Congresswoman Maxine Dexter.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon. I very much appreciate this opportunity. I am Congresswoman Maxine Dexter, a physician, a mother, and very proud to represent Oregon's 3rd District. I completed, as many doctors did, much of my medical training at a VA facility. Every day, walking past the sign that said the price of freedom is visible here. Those words are not abstract. They were reflected in the veterans I cared for. Men, women, living with visible and invisible scars. Lifelong health challenges oftentimes were incurred from the service that they gave when they stepped forward when their country called. Our promise to them is simple. If you serve, we will take care of you. Not some of you. Not when it's convenient. Not when it's politically approved. All of you. For Donald Trump to reinstate a complete ban on abortion care and counseling at the VA, even in cases of rape and incest, is nothing short of a betrayal of that sacred promise. It strips women veterans of the very freedoms they fought to defend. That is why I led more than 130 House Democrats urging this administration to protect abortion access for our veterans. It's why every single day on the House Veterans Affairs Committee, I will not rest until every veteran receives the full spectrum of care that they have earned and deserve. And it's why I partnered with Congresswoman Julia Brownley to introduce legislation to make this protection ironclad, to guarantee in law that veterans and their eligible dependents have the right to access abortion care, medication, and counseling through the VA. And I stand here today as a proud member of the Democratic Women's Caucus to say unequivocally, we will fight every single day for women veterans' access to abortion care. At the Democratic Women's Caucus, we know a simple truth. Freedom means little if you have no bodily autonomy. If we can't control our futures, our health, what does that mean? That's why our caucus is united in this fight. We will not stop until every servicewoman and every veteran can access the reproductive care that they need to thrive. That means safe, affordable abortion care, fertility services to grow their families, comprehensive birth control and reproductive health education, and the ability to receive that care wherever and whenever they need it. Because when we honor women veterans with the full spectrum of health care, we honor their service. When we respect their choices, we respect their sacrifice. And when we defend their freedom, we defend the very freedom that they put their lives on the line to protect. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Maxine Dexter. I want to thank everyone. Thank you to everyone who has joined us today. It's clear from the many voices we've heard that finalizing this rule would be a disservice to our nation's veterans. Instead of trusting veterans to make the healthcare decisions that are best for them, VA is going to allow political judgment to supplant its duty to veterans. Instead of allowing veterans to discuss all their healthcare options openly and honestly with their providers, VA is deciding that the government should be in charge of making healthcare decisions, even in matters of life and death. And instead of fulfilling its duty to provide needed healthcare to veterans, VA is going to add insult to injury and refuse to acknowledge the unique and complex healthcare needs of veterans following their service to our country. I welcome anyone who believes that veterans deserve access to the full spectrum of healthcare rights they have earned to join the fight, to join us in this fight. Submit a public comment today Make your voices heard. Show the heroes who fought for our rights that we will fight for their rights. To any veterans who are watching, I hope our message is clear. We are united to protect your reproductive rights and freedoms. As a grateful nation wishing to honor your service, it is our duty to protect your health, your rights, and your freedom. And we will continue in our fight to do just that. Thank you very much.